considering.
The sea can do that to a man. We ran out
Anyway,
of Vaseline on day three.
All right, we are back. We're back. We're still with Sons of Town Hall, but we now have George and Josiah, who you two decided to build a raft to sail across the Atlantic in the 1890s. How did you how did you feel setting out onto that voyage, knowing that you had sort of made this raft out of scraps?
Very
scared,
scared, very uncertain.
terrified. You say decided, but it was more, we didn't have many choices at that point.
Life wasn't really giving us a clear way ahead, so we had to kind of make our own.
Yeah,
It
it's
was,
quite a brave way to make your own.
I think the thing about it is that land had clearly given us so much pain and despair that we thought maybe we could get on the ocean, the great big blue beast, and see if that could find us any more answers, any new answers to old questions.
I had seen a pamphlet about California, and and I had told George about what I thought we might find there, and I mean, to be honest, I really underestimated how hard the sea was going to be. I thought that just getting away from some people who were after us would make things a lot clearer and easier. And we almost died on day two, and it kind of just got worse from there.
There's no definitive manual for surviving at sea.
Well, befriending whales seems to have helped.
That really did help.
You
You know what's funny about whales is just how big and sad those eyes are when they come out of the water next to the raft. It's you can kind of see all of the years of slaughter and heartache that that species have gone through.
Yeah, you really empathize with those animals in the ocean. That's such a clear thing in your songwriting and your diaries, it's admirable, but of course you have to live, right? So
That's where the seagull comes in, my friend.
how did you overcome that initial barrier to, eating these animals you had so much respect for?
We just ate seagulls. They were the only things we didn't respect. And we found that if you put some bait inside a guitar, if you put like a small fish inside a guitar, the seagull will eventually fly in through the hole of the guitar. But obviously from 50, 60 feet up in the sea sky, they're not going to see the strings of the guitar.
They're coming
So the,
fast.
so the string slice, you get five really beautifully even slices of seagull.
And you didn't have any way of cooking it, did you?
Straight in, my friend.
Oh,
All
that's
these things seem hard if you have choice, but eliminate choice, and a lot of things become a lot easier. I'm
well,
glad that you listened to some of our songs too. I didn't know that people even heard them. Um, you know,
yeah,
we
there are some pretty impressive technologies where you can replay songs that have been recorded.
well, I did know that things were being recorded. I just didn't know that anyone listened. Yeah, so thank you.
We met a man out there on the waves who he had a wax cylinder that he would, I mean, he'd fashioned it from various bits of old plow and made this thing, and he was convinced that, well, the one reason why we were into the idea was that it was the fact we wouldn't have to play, we could play the song once, then we could
Be
sit
done.
back on deck, and anyone that wanted to hear the song could hear it without us having to play it. Really suited us.
Yeah, especially because you're not in town very long. I know anyone who wanted to hear you a second time, they'd have to, chase you across the world.
One thing that's been a real challenge for us is neither of us is very good at navigation, and so we don't actually know where we're going to play. So we sort of pop up here and there, and if people are around to listen, that's great. But it's very hard to keep a calendar or any kind of schedule. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess the recording has been a gift because it's not easy to hear us once, let alone twice. And to be honest, I don't know that people want to hear us more than once.
Well,
We prefer not to ask them.
yeah, yeah, you certainly seem to have made some friends over the years, performing. Some of them might have been more desperate than others for a friend, but you certainly seem to have attracted some interesting characters, including Captain Ahab, well-known man in search of a white whale. Um, don't know if you guys really bonded, but you also met the white whale.
Very Ahab was very
Bonded,
coarse.
bonded more with the whale.
Bonded more with the whale, yeah. Um, Now the two of you seem to have this very strong connection, forged by years of traveling together. Um, Now, how does it work, keeping that strong connection when you seem to pretty consistently fall in love with the same person simultaneously?
Yeah, it's hard for us
Wish I
in
don't.
conversation
I
to
wish you
talk
hadn't
about this.
asked that. I wish you hadn't brought that up
Mm. Well, I
because
mean,
yeah,
it's not like anything's ever come between the two of you before, right?
Well, I mean, I certainly have a list.
yeah. I mean that it's moments like these where I don't know why we do stay together, and so
I think it's like a collective interest in survival against whatever life wants to throw at us. Often it's the other man being thrown at me.
Now, of all the characters you've met, which one sort of stands out as your most unique encounter?
mm,
We did love Ella.
huh. Yeah. Well, Ella is sorely missed. We've met a lot of people over the years. It's hard to keep track of them all. I mean, Carl, uh, he was quite a character.
Jean Claude,
LeClaw, he was
Claw, the French wrestling team coach.
the forewoman in the Dusseldorf sausage factory. She was quite a sight. She was able to lift both of us with one man in each hand at once,
Yeah,
raised us
very
both.
impressive.
Yeah, yeah, I genuinely cannot believe that any people would encounter all these personalities in one lifetime.
Yeah, I mean the if you're not burdened by a 9 to 5, time kind of opens up a bit, I guess. And maybe it's why we put up with all the betrayals that George has betrayed me so many times, but I put up with
I
it
mean, it's
because
not just it's not a one-way street.
he's
It's
also
never been a one-way street.
uh, anyway, he's also saved me on so many occasions that on the balance, it's just slightly in the negative.
I think the thing is, as you lay on your deathbed, you're going to think about the people that you met and the people that you spent time with. and we're keen to kind of really voraciously ride our way through as many options of human as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I certainly get that sense from listening to your stories as told by Elias. He's got a podcast, and Mad Men Cross the Water, is it?
I
Is that
believe so. Yeah,
that's the name
and
of his radio serial?
yeah, it is, and he's really done a good job. I mean, it's not easy to kind of follow us and take such copious notes and yeah. I mean, I wasn't so keen on the idea at first. It felt a little bit invasive, and I didn't think that some of these stories needed to be told. But I got to give it to him. He's dedicated his whole adult life to this, and yeah, I guess now I'm glad that they're out there.
I'm just curious. It seems like a lot of the time, the two of you are each telling a different version of the story. Elias uh, tries to explain what's happening, but then we get recordings with George saying how great George is and Josiah saying how great Josiah is. So, which one of you is telling the truth?
I am.
I definitely am. I think the problem we have with Elias is that,
He
you know,
likes me more.
he's well, he's done an incredible job, but he is quite excitable at the very idea of us. He's a super fan, and there have been some strange moments with him where he's kind of crossed that line of archivist to obsessive.
Mm.
Um, but I think that the three perspectives give you a really nice idea of what was going on, and you've just got to choose which man you want to listen to.
What advice would you have for someone trying to cross the Atlantic on a raft?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Choose another
Not
way.
not unless there's no other choice.
Well, I guess I want to give you guys the opportunity to, tell one of your stories through song. So I'm going to play one called New Orleans, about Ella, who you mentioned
Mm.
first off. So why don't you lead me into that tragic tale?
Well, we pulled into that great swamp voodoo city of New Orleans very, very loose in the pocket, needing some serious, serious money. And Josiah saw a poster for the circus in town for 3 nights.
We figured that how hard could that work be after some of the things we'd done, and that kind of is our MO. We kind of think after you've crossed the Atlantic, you can do anything. So we figured strong men probably would get that job. Maybe
Masters of
maybe
ceremony.
yeah. Turned out the only job they were willing to give us was kind of like cleaning up after animals, horses, elephants, the like, lions, and that was not a job that seemed worthy of us, but we took it, and we did a number of things. I mean, at one point, I was shot out of a cannon. Uh, we
Yeah,
had to
they needed
test.
to test it.
We had to test a lot of the
They needed
equipment.
to test it, and I put Josiah forward for that job. I
That
think
seems fair.
what was a real saving grace of being in with with the elephants and the other animals and various steaming piles of things was that over the backs of those animals you could see Ella, the trapeze artist, practice her twirls and her spins. It was
And
wonderful.
we fell in love pretty quickly with Ella. She was exquisite. Yeah, I mean, I guess to paint just a quick picture, she wore purple. She wore this like sort of purple leotard, but it was more fishnet than anything. And yeah, and she had curves, and she was short but
It's like
perfect.
four foot one.
Well, okay, but perfectly formed, and we developed a sort of a quick bond with Ella, that I still feel today. It was kind of like a love circus love triangle, three ring circus love triangle. Problem was that there was another ring in this circus, the actual master of ceremony.
He was a dark figure, stood around 7 foot 2, very harsh looking man, eyes like currants, moustache like a walrus. And he was definitely, there was some sort of strange hold he had over Ella. Whenever they were in a room together, she became quiet and subdued. And it was really hard to see because otherwise she was such a blossoming flower of a human. So there had been something that had gone on and we never quite found out.
And this song, in a way, tells a version of this story, and it doesn't end well.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing all your traumas and travails. Personally, I'm not sure I would have survived having Carl pop out of that hayloft. But you know, you found a way to make it through and mostly respect each other, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. We always do, and we always will.
All right, the Sons of Town Hall, truly one of the most unique projects I've ever had the opportunity to host on the show. So, let's see. Josiah, George, do you want to just talk about the album you two have put together?
Yeah, the album of Ghosts and Gods was released on the 6th day of March, the year 2026 AD.
Of our Lord.
And how
Um,
how did you pull that off living in the 1890s?
well, you'll
Uh,
notice that the instrumentation you know, is all we had back then. We had strings, we had brass, we had drums. There was no electricity.
yeah, and the irregularities, the background noises that you sometimes hear, wind and et cetera, is just because that we recorded it all outside.
Yeah, I mean, you guys look great for your age. And
Thank you.
here's to another 120 years. All
Here's
right,
to it.
let's play this show off with New Orleans.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you so much.